Do you get muscle cramps? Find out why on this next episode of Digest This.
Welcome to Digest This, the show that helps you revolutionize your digestive health. Here are your hosts, Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato.
Hello and welcome to Digest This. I'm Dr. Liz Cruz and I've got Tina Nunziato sitting right here by my side. If you're watching us, hello. If you're listening to us, hello.
I just thought while we were doing that, and people would have to watch YouTube to see it, but we kind of look like the Muppets when we were doing it together like this, the swaying.
The swaying.
It reminded me of the Muppets.
Ah, the Muppets. Mm-hmm. Well, we are so happy that you're joining us. If you're a regular listener, thank you for being on this journey with us. If you are a new time listener, a first time listener, we welcome you. And please check out our library of podcasts. We've got over 400 podcasts sitting out there dating back for a decade. Yeah. We've been doing this for 10 years now. So we're so happy you're here. So let's talk about muscle cramps. A very common thing. And I got to tell you that I experience muscle cramps all the time.
Yes, you do.
Well, not all the time, but
when you're drinking your salts, you don't.
Exactly. When I'm not drinking enough of my salts. So why do we get muscle cramps? Why do we get muscle cramps? I mean,
a lot of people actually get muscle cramps.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Absolutely. We see it. I mean, when I was doing internal medicine, I remember I used to hear that a lot from the patients. Doing gastroenterology, I don't really hear that as much because, well, abdominal cramps, but we're talking about like, extremity, especially the legs. Mm-hmm. And there's different reasons for muscle cramps. I mean, people get muscle cramps, maybe they're deconditioned, maybe their muscles are deconditioned, maybe overuse of the muscle.
Which is rare.
Rare. Yes, I think much more common is,
I hear it a lot in my wellness consults, and it's typically from people who don't exercise.
Yeah, definitely.
Not
so maybe underuse.
Yeah.
But Tina and I would agree that probably the most common thing is dehydration.
Yeah.
Dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, okay, because you're dehydrated. Even a poor diet, because if you're not getting the nutrients that you need in your diet, that could lead to cramps, because your muscles, the function of the muscle, and we're not going to go into physiology here. However, your muscles and how they function, how they contract, all of that requires, it's a very intricate chemical reactions that are going on that involve certain electrolytes, okay, and hydration, water, okay. Remember, your body is like 70-80% water, and it's more salty.
Yeah.
Than anything. Salt water.
And so again, like the idea of dehydration, people are like, oh, well, I drink tea and lemonade and coffee all day. I'm drinking liquid, right? They don't realize that those things dehydrate the body. Right. The only thing that hydrates the body is water. So if you're drinking everything else but water, you are going to be dehydrated and you are going to be lacking electrolytes. And like you said, with the poor diet, some of those minerals that we get from electrolytes are also in our foods. Mm-hmm. So if we're not drinking electrolytes, or we're not eating foods that have these minerals in them that we so desperately need, then all of those things can produce muscle spasms, muscle cramps.
Exactly.
Even medicines, there's studies that show that PPI medicines lead to bone loss and muscle spasms. Mm-hmm. And I try to explain to patients, because when you're taking a proton pump inhibitor like an omeprazole or a pantoprazole, you're cutting the acid production in the stomach, right? And you need acid to break down your food properly. So even if you're eating a healthy diet, if you're on a PPI and you're not breaking that food down properly because you're missing part of the equation with digestion, then you're not going to be able to break down that food into the nutrients portion of it that you need to be able to absorb those things.
Exactly.
Right?
And you do need the acid, like Tina said, not only for breaking down, the protein and certain things in the food that you're eating, but also to help you absorb certain elements, certain nutrients, like calcium. So it is very important. And, we could probably talk about a host of other medicines, prescribed medicines, and even probably over the counter that you take that can affect your electrolytes and then in the end lead to muscle cramps, okay, because you're missing some of these electrolytes that you need. And but I think by far the biggest thing is the dehydration, the electrolyte imbalance, because we are such a dehydrated society in general. We're a very dehydrated society. We drink everything else except water. Okay. We just don't drink enough water. And you see it, you hear it from all the consults that you do in the office, all the nutritional consults. And when I talk to patients who are constipated, for example, they admit they don't drink enough water. We don't get enough water, and we don't get enough of the electrolytes they need. Okay. Because when you sweat, you are sweating off electrolytes, okay? You pee off electrolytes. So you need to be replenishing those electrolytes. And so the combination of water and electrolytes, all right? And I'll let you go ahead and talk a little bit more about, the water and the electrolytes that we need and how we can get that.
Well, most people, when they hear electrolytes, they think Gatorade, Powerade,
right?
Because that's what, the marketing out in the world today will tell you, that in order to get electrolytes into the body, you've got to drink these sports drinks, right? The problem with the sports drinks is that they're also full of chemicals and dyes, okay? So you got to be really careful with the electrolytes that you are consuming. Actually, the concept of Gatorade started, the reason they call it Gatorade is because it started at the University of Florida. And it was one of the coaches came up with this concept of putting minerals in the water so the football players could drink minerals at the same time as they were drinking the water. But when it first came out, people didn't like it because it was too salty, because electrolytes are salty, okay? So they ended up putting a lot of sugar and a lot of dyes, and now it tastes good, but now it's really not good for you, right? So especially now, like Gatorade has come really far down, the last however many decades it's been around. But if you go to look at Gatorade now and you look at the ingredients, it's really, really bad for you. So it's just gone from the great concept of let's get electrolytes in the body to now it's just a bunch of junk. But the concept is still right. We still need to be replenishing with electrolytes. So we actually created a product called Super Salts. It's literally the 4 key salts that are in the body, the electrolytes that are needed in the body for the cells to communicate properly to each other. So it's things like magnesium, calcium, sodium bicarbonate, potassium bicarbonate. These are the 4 salts that are in the body. This is not white table salt, okay? I had a patient yesterday called me and asked me, is this going to affect my blood pressure? Is this going to make my legs swell? No, it is not that kind of salt, okay? If you have heart issues, it's actually good to be on our super salts because it's going to help regulate the electrolytes in the body. And even if you have heart issues, I always try to educate patients. Doctors will tell you, stay away from salt, okay? It's actually white table salt that you want to stay away from. That's the salt that makes us sick. And it's mainly because the salt is processed so much that everything that's good about salt is stripped from it, and chemicals are added. And it's the chemicals that are added to white table salt that actually make us sick, not the salt itself, okay? Right. So the salts you should be eating, even if you have issues with your heart, are unprocessed salt. So things like Himalayan salts, sea salts, kosher salts. These are all unprocessed salts that are actually very good for you, and you need them in your body in order for your body to function properly. We need salt in the body, okay? But just switching from white table salt to some of these other salts are going to be really helpful, and then drinking the electrolytes in your water through the super salts. Right. So that's what we have in our product. It's a powder that you put in water. It's 1 scoop. We encourage people to get a water bottle, 26 to 30 ounces, and put 1 scoop of super salts, which is 1 teaspoon, in each water bottle. So I'm drinking 3 of those water bottles a day, so I'm drinking 3 scoops of salt a day, right? And that's what's going to give you those electrolytes back in the body so that your body can function properly and your cells can communicate with each other properly, and you can avoid muscle cramps.
The muscle cramps. That's right. And it's true because we've had a lot of patients that have told us that once they started on the salts, that they were no longer having those cramps.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's, and I've experienced it myself. I mean, if I've had a really crazy busy day, sometimes I don't get the quantity of water that I need. And I have a container of electrolytes at the surgical center that I use and put it into my water. But I can get behind on the volume that my body needs. And later that night is when I feel it, because I literally will wake up in the middle of the night with a cramp in my leg. And the first question out of my wife's mouth,
did you not drink
your salts today?
Yeah.
So very important, very important. So get, water intake, good rule of thumb, drinking at least half of your body weight in ounces of water. And then every day, and then like Tina described, those super salts, and you can find that on our website. And nothing artificial in those salts. Okay, nothing. There's no sugar. There are no dyes. It's just a white electrolyte salt powder that you put in your water, and it'll make a huge difference.
Yeah.
All right.
And also with regard to just what Dr. Cruz was saying with nothing artificial in there. That goes for all of our products. We try to make very, very clean products with nothing extra in it, okay? And so the product will taste, from a super salt standpoint, it will taste a little salty.
Yes.
Okay? So if you don't like the taste of salt, some people love it and they're like, oh my gosh, I love these salts. I put the whole scoop in there and I just drink it. Some people are like, oh my gosh, it's like drinking the ocean. And it is. If you're not used to it, it does taste salty. So I always tell patients to take it a little bit at a time so that your taste buds can get used to it. So when you first start in something 26 to 32 ounces, just put a quarter scoop of the salt, so a quarter teaspoon. And you're not going to taste that. You won't even taste it, but your taste buds will start getting used to it. And then after a couple weeks, put a half a scoop and do that for a few weeks, and then go to 3/4, and then until you eventually get up to a full scoop where, again, you're not realizing that you're drinking it, right? Then when you go out to eat, I know when we go out to eat and we order water, the water tastes weird, when you're not drinking it with the salts. That's the idea. It's ultimately get your taste buds to that point where when you don't have electrolytes, the water tastes weird. So, but yes, it is okay. The salt is going to taste salty in your water.
Yes.
That is
You'll
normal.
get used to it. You will get used to it.
Just start slow and build up.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on our website, and there is a magenta colored button on the homepage that you could click for a free 30-minute wellness consult that's done over the phone. So you could do it from anywhere, and that's our gift to you. If you have not rated us, please rate us, and please give us a 5 so that other people can find us faster. And lastly, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our podcast so that you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next podcast.
Thank you for joining Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato. To learn more about their revolutionary products and services, go online to www.drlizcruz.com.